Hello, welcome to Exotic Gardening with me, Yorkshire Kris. On this week's episode, we're going to be dividing tender, perennials and herbaceous plants. Now this is probably my favourite herbaceous plant that I grow in the garden, Hermesia zygomaris. It grows to about 2 metres tall and it does that rapidly. We're in early June now. These are about 10 to 15 centimetres tall, all these stems, and by the end of the month they'll be about a metre, metre and a half high, and then as we go into July they'll be topping out at 2 metres. Get rapid growth, and we need to divide them before they put on that growth. So now is the ideal time to do so. You don't want to do it too early because it'd be too cold. So if you started doing it in sort of winter or early spring before growth has started, you can't see where these stems are going to be and it'll be too cold to do that. Now it's warmed up, it's a great time to do it. I could have done this probably a bit earlier than this when it was just coming out of the ground, but now we can see this big mound of foliage, all these stems. We can see what we're dealing with and we can divide this into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. Probably we could do a lot more, but if we're keeping it as a nice size clumps, I think we'll probably get 5 plants out of this. And it's really simple. We get the spade, we chop down, we divide it, and then we pot it up or divide it and put it in other parts of the garden. Like I said, I want to actually pot this up because we are redeveloping all this part of the garden, so I need to remove all the gingers, all the cannas and everything else in this part of the garden ready for the next stage. But for this Hermesia, like I said, just dividing it with a spade, and we'll see how easy it is to divide when I get that spade in. Now for those that have been watching my channel for a number of years, you may remember when I moved this plant from further down the garden to this location, I dug it up in one huge clump and it was pretty heavy to do so, and it was done at this time of year again just because it was into active growth but it hadn't got too large. And this will be pretty easy to dig up because I'm not going to do it in one big clump like I did before. We're just going to divide it up. So we've got the spade. Like I said, we probably can get 5 plants out of this, but to begin with I think I'll just cut this here across and we'll see what the roots are like. So it does have one main crown which is in the centre, but I think the way it's grown with all the compost over it, it started to root through it a bit more, so it's probably got roots in more than just one direction, more than just from the central crown. So we'll see how to get through here, and it's actually, yeah, let's get through there. Actually, let's move the camera so you have a better look at what I'm doing. So now you've got a better view of the plant and you can see how I'm going to divide it across here, and then we'll get that into 2, and then this here will probably divide into 3 pieces, so we should hopefully get 5 plants. But let's get that first division done. So we'll just dig straight down, but it's quite tough. There we go, that's in. And again there, cut through. Now it's good to divide these sort of plants every few years anyway, just to keep the vigour in them. But like I said, I'm just dividing it because I need this space for a new project in this part of the garden. So that's cut all the way through. We will lose some of these stems, but not to worry, there's plenty of growth points on this sort of plant. And we'll just go around and hopefully it'll come up nice and easily. Yeah, that'll come up good. And with this plant, it's a member of the pea family, and it does smell when you cut through the foliage Does smell a bit pea-like. But this is definitely not an edible plant. It's pretty poisonous, so don't go eating this. There we go. It's come up, and you can see when we get a piece of this, we can actually see here, got some old stems. I'm going to plant this like this, but if you wanted to, you could pull off that bit. You could divide these different sections. I'm going to keep it together and pot it like that, and you can see some of the thick roots there. I'm going to do the same. Get another 4 plants, 4 big chunky plants there, and a 5th one in my hand. So that's the Amicia dug up, and I thought I'd get 5 plants. In fact, I've got quite a bit more than that. Some big chunks, some small bits fell off as well. So as you can see, lots of rooting material here. And as we pan across to the right, we can actually see how long those roots are. Look at those. Those are close to 1 metre in length, like big turnips, or big parsnips, should I say. So I won't dilly-dally now. These need potting up quickly so they don't dry out. I am doing this at midday. This is not the time you should be doing it. You want to do it early morning or late evening, not in direct sun if you can help it. But as a YouTuber, this is the time I've got to film, so this is the time I'm doing the job. So I'll quickly get these potted up into some multi-purpose compost, nothing fancy at all, and I'll give them a very good drink. So I've got my general purpose, multi-purpose compost here. Got my Amicia division, some with very chunky roots, some with hardly any roots at all. And I've got various pots in various sizes so that I can pot all these up. So some of them, like this, has got loads of big thick roots. I don't need all these, so I'm going to cut some of these side roots off so I can fit them in pots. And they don't need too much compost. You're just basically putting a bit in the base, try and settle the plant, and then just filling around, and then we're going to give it a massive generous watering, because these aren't going to be too happy. They've all been dug up and split up, and then we're going to put them somewhere shady so they can recover, root out, give it 3 or 4 weeks, and they'll be ready if I wanted to plant or to pass on to friends and family. But what I'm going to do with these plants is replant them later in the year in other parts of the garden. So this is a great way of dividing plants to get more plants for free, and also having more stock to redevelop parts of your garden, especially if you get a plant like this, which is hard to get. Let it bulk up over a few years, and then you have more and more of it around your garden. So potting up, pretty simple. Get your potting compost, get your pot, get the right size. For this one here is a tiny one. I'm actually going to put these 2 in together, and I'm basically just going to put a bit of compost in at the base, plop those in. They want to be relatively deep, these, because they do root from the base of the stems as well, and you can grow these from basal cuttings. So just put the compost around, shake it so it goes and fill all the air gaps, and then we're going to water it. And once I've watered it, I might find that as the compost moves down even more, I just need to top it up with more compost. So that's it, that's one down. That's a nice easy one. That's Amicia zygomaris, divided in spring, ready for planting out in a few weeks' time. So I said I should have 5 divisions of the Amicia, but I've actually ended up with 15 plants, all a good size, some very big, some pretty small, but all good sizes that will do really well when planted out in a few weeks' time. Like I said, I could have put the biggest ones back in the ground straight away, but all these are going to be in this good compost for 3 or 4 weeks to root through, and then they'll be better after that shock of being moved to go back into the ground where they need to be planted. And like I said, plenty of plants to give away to friends and family. And this isn't the only plant we can divide in spring and very early summer. Others include gingers, we've got dahlias, cannas, and persicarias as well, plus many more. So let me know what plants you like to divide in spring, and also let me know what other sort of propagation videos you'd like to see for the exotic garden. Thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening with me, Yorkshire Kris. Join me next week, we'll be doing more in the garden.